Northwestern University law professor and civil rights expert Sheila Betty says attempts to reform Chicago police have failed. And she says that is what led to the deadly shooting of Adam Toledo.
She joins us now to talk more about that statement. Sheila, thank you so much. And also, you say that this could have been prevented. How?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you so much for having me. This could have been prevented by implementing some changes to the Chicago Police Department's foot pursuit policies. And those policies would have ensured that the officer who engaged with Adam, who ended up shooting and killing Adam, would never have engaged in that foot pursuit. The community-based organization that I and my colleagues represent made recommendations to the city to implement changes to the foot pursuit policies of the police department. And those recommendations were ignored, were not adopted. Had they been adopted, perhaps Adam would be alive.
Sheila, you write that some 29% of police foot pursuits end with some kind of violent confrontation. What were those recommendations? Is it ending them altogether? And if that's the case, doesn't that leave a threat to the public?
Well, the independent monitor from the Chicago Police Department's consent decree found that a disproportionate number of foot pursuits result in uses of force, about 29% use of force overall, and almost 8% uses of lethal force. So what we know is that foot pursuits are inherently dangerous. They are escalating. It's a circumstance where the officer is going to be pumped full with adrenaline, and he's not going to be able to unable to accurately assess the threat that a suspect might pose. In jurisdictions that have adopted restrictions to foot pursuits, what they've done is required that officers have to evaluate and then reevaluate whether or not the foot pursuit is actually something that should be pursued at the moment. Or is there another law enforcement strategy that could meet the means? So it's not an outright prohibition on foot pursuits, but it's just requiring officers to really consider whether or not there is a safer strategy, both for the officer as well as for the community member.
You're a big proponent of an issue that's getting a lot of heat now, defunding the police department. How do you think that could have helped the situation? And explain what defunding the police is, because I think still, even now, people don't understand what that means.
I'm so grateful for that question. You know, the movement to defund the police is about building up in our Black and brown communities the resources that we need to keep each other safe. Building up resources like positive youth programming, mentorship, political education, mental health services, job, ensuring that people have what they need to eat, stable housing, that our schools are funded and functioning. And when communities have those things, peace is what the result is. The reality is that when communities have what they need, violence is reduced significantly. Now, of course, there will be some forms of community harm. And what defund means is that there'll be alternative approaches to trying to redress that harm, relying less on policing, less on the carceral state, and instead looking on community-based restorative justice approaches to redressing harm. And if those approaches had been in place, you know, it's very likely, again, that Adam's life could have been spared. One of the real ironies of what happened here is that the police were responding to an incident of gun violence, then they ended up perpetuating gun violence.
And we just reported on the Logan Square protest. A lot of people there, hopefully nonviolently, are prepared to express some of those very concerns. What would be your message to them tonight as the sun starts to go down?
Well, I think it is a testament to the Chicago's communities that people are showing up and demanding justice for Adam, and demanding that our elected officials pay attention and make the real transformational change that our communities deserve.
Sheila Betty at Northwestern University, thanks for your insight and be well tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Well, in Georgia, police video captured a high-speed